The city never sleeps, but tonight the streets feel different. A heavy silence hangs in the air, as if Chicago itself is holding its breath. Somewhere out there, in the dark corners of this empire, a new force is moving. No one knows the name. No one has seen the face. But the whispers have already begun, and they spread faster than fire. The night opens with flashing lights in the distance, not from police cars or ambulances, but from the endless glow of the city. Neon signs flicker, their colors bleeding across wet pavement after a sudden storm. The camera of the mind lingers on these empty streets, each corner telling a story of power, money, and fear. But tonight, there is something different. A shadow walks these streets, moving silently, almost blending with the night itself. Every step is heavy, but controlled, as if the ground knows not to resist. This is no ordinary stranger. This is someone who does not need to announce their arrival, because their presence speaks louder than words. The city is alive with rumors. Whispers carried through late-night phone calls, traded in hushed tones across smoky bars, and passed between nervous hands during back-alley deals. Nobody knows if the shadow belongs to an enemy or an ally. All they know is that something is coming, something powerful enough to make even the boldest men hesitate. And in this world, hesitation means death. The story of power is always written in the silence before a storm. Tonight, that silence feels endless. The faceless figure is never fully revealed. You see boots hitting the ground, polished yet worn by years of running these streets. You see a black glove gripping a door handle, pulling it shut with a slow, deliberate motion. The camera of the imagination catches the outline of a hood raised against the rain, casting shadows that keep every feature hidden. But it is not about what we see. It is about what we feel. And what we feel is danger. The kind of danger that makes seasoned killers glance over their shoulders and loyal soldiers start questioning their orders dot in the distance. The pulse of the city beats through the sound of engines, sirens, and voices. But none of it matters because this single unknown presence carries more weight than all of Chicago combined. Somewhere across the city, Tommy Egan is making his moves, building his empire, taking control block by block. He thinks he knows the game, thinks he can control it, but the board is shifting beneath his feet because a new piece has entered play. And unlike the others, this piece has no history, no record. No weakness that anyone can find. Imagine sitting at a poker table where one player never shows their face, never speaks, but keeps raising the stakes. That is what this mystery feels like. The rules are being rewritten, and no one even realizes it yet. Power is not always loud. Sometimes it hides in silence, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when it does, the impact is louder than 1,000 gunshots. That is what is building tonight in the heart of the city. The rain does not stop. It keeps falling as if the sky itself knows something is wrong. Every drop is heavy, echoing against rooftops and windows, drowning out the noise of the world. And through that sound, a single thought pushes through. The game is changing. For Tommy, for his enemies, for his allies, everyone is about to face a storm that cannot be avoided. The faceless figure does not run, does not hide. They walk with purpose, slow but unstoppable, because they already know what everyone else is too scared to admit. Power has a new name, and soon, the whole city will be forced to speak it. And so, the night stretches on. A shadow moves through alleys, across bridges, past corners where gangs watch nervously, unsure if they should step forward or step aside. No one dares to challenge. No one even dares to speak. The presence itself is enough to paralyze. And the silence, the heavy, crushing silence becomes the loudest warning of all. The storm finally breaks. But instead of washing the streets clean, it makes them darker. The water runs down cracked sidewalks, reflecting neon signs that blur like half-forgotten memories. In that reflection, a shape passes by, distorted but unmistakably human. Still, the face is never clear. Just fragment shadows where eyes should be, darkness where a mouth might form. The figure walks slowly, but every step sounds heavier than thunder. Whoever this is, they don't rush. They don't need to. The city bends around them like gravity itself knows where the real weight lies. Chicago thrives on noise, gunfire, sirens, shouts echoing from rooftops, the clatter of money-changing hands in hidden rooms. But when this stranger moves, even the noise pauses. A group of hustlers at a corner goes silent, their dice game frozen mid-roll. A car screeches to a halt at a red light, but the driver doesn't honk, doesn't curse, he just stares through the glass as the figure passes. It's as if the city itself recognizes something unnatural, something it cannot control. Whispers grow thicker. He's with the Serbs. No, he's one of Tommy's old ghosts. Nah, that ain't it, he's working for someone bigger. The rumors carry faster than the wind, faster than truth can catch up. Each version is more dangerous than the last, and no one bothers to stop the lies because lies are easier to believe when they're coated in fear. It doesn't matter who the stranger really is. What matters is what people think he is. And right now, everyone thinks he is untouchable. Inside a dimly lit bar on the south side, the regulars sit uneasy. The bartender wipes down the counter, his hands shaking without reason. A pool game in the back comes to a sudden stop when someone pushes open the door. The sound of boots on wooden floors fills the room, heavy, steady, and slow. A hooded figure walks through without looking left or right, without asking for a drink, without speaking a word. No one dares to greet them. No one even blinks. The figure leaves the same way they came, and the silence they leave behind feels like a curse. Everyone exhales only when the door shuts again. Elsewhere, the figure appears in shadows where deals are being made. Two men exchange briefcases, eyes darting left and right, when suddenly they sense the air growing colder, the silence pressing down on them. They look up, and in the distance, the hooded stranger watches. No movement, no sound, just watching. The deal continues, but both men know it's worthless now. Nothing is secret anymore. The stranger's presence has already stained it. By morning, one of them will be dead, and no one will wonder why. Tommy doesn't see the figure yet, but he feels it. He moves through the city like a soldier, claiming territory, making enemies, breaking rules, and bending the rest. But every victory tastes hollow. Every corner he takes feels like someone else has already been there, leaving behind a shadow that doesn't disappear. For the first time, Tommy hesitates. And in this game, hesitation is poison. He knows someone is out there, watching, waiting, and that knowledge burns hotter than any bullet ever could. The mystery figure never speaks, but their silence says everything. Their steps carry the weight of a promise that things will change, that the game is no longer safe. You can hear it in the way conversations die the moment the figure appears. You can feel it in the way doors close faster and locks are checked twice. Power is shifting, slowly, invisibly, but the shift is undeniable. On a rooftop overlooking the city, the figure finally stops. The rain has slowed, leaving mist hanging in the air like smoke. From this high point, the whole city spreads out below bridges, towers, rivers, streets all glowing faintly in the night. The stranger stands perfectly still, a silhouette carved against the lights. They don't need to move. They don't need to reveal themselves. Just standing there, faceless and silent, is enough to send a message to anyone looking up from the streets below. There is a new player in the game, and this player is watching everything. The city feels it. The people feel it. And deep down, Tommy feels it too. Something is coming. Something that cannot be bargained with, cannot be predicted, cannot be stopped. The faceless figure is not here for power in the usual sense. They are here for something deeper, something hidden. And until the truth comes out, Chicago will never sleep easy again. The city shifts when fear takes root. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in, quiet and uninvited, like smoke slipping through cracks. Chicago is a city used to violence, used to betrayal, used to blood on the sidewalks. But this is different. Fear is not coming from bullets or knives. It is coming from someone nobody can name, someone nobody can even describe. It's the silence that kills louder than any gunshot. And silence is spreading everywhere. Tommy Egan's empire is built on control. Every move he makes is sharp. Every deal is forced into place with fire and steel. He trusts his instincts, and those instincts have never failed him. Until now. Something feels off, and it's not paranoia, it's truth. Corners he thought he owned no longer feel safe. People who swore loyalty suddenly look away when he speaks. Even his enemies are quiet, as if they're waiting for something bigger than Tommy. And he knows it's not the cops, not the feds, not the rivals he's already crushed. This is something unseen, and that's what burns him most. Tommy can fight what he sees. But how do you fight what won't even show its face? On the streets, the whispers grow sharper. They say he never talks. They say he doesn't bleed. They say he ain't even real. Each rumor twists the faceless figure into something more than human, something untouchable. And the more people talk, the more dangerous the shadow becomes. In this world, perception is power, and perception has already crowned the stranger as a threat above all others. A warehouse on the west side becomes the center of unease. Deals that should move smoothly collapse halfway through. Men who were once fearless now check the corners twice, their hands twitching on their weapons. One night, a crew loads boxes into trucks when the power suddenly cuts. Darkness swallows everything, and in that silence, they feel it, that crushing, watching presence. Nobody fires a shot. Nobody moves. When the lights return, nothing has changed. Nothing has been taken. But the men scatter anyway, swearing they saw someone in the shadows. None of them return to that warehouse again. Tommy hears the story, and it only feeds the fire inside him. He hates ghosts, hates games, hates the idea that someone could step into his city and walk unseen. He vows to find this stranger, to drag them into the light and prove that no one is untouchable. But every move he makes backfires. Every lead turns cold. Every whisper runs in circles. It's as if the faceless figure is always 2 steps ahead, moving through the city with ease, knowing exactly where Tommy will look. That's what makes it worse. Tommy built his name on fearlessness. Yet for the first time, he feels like he's the one being hunted. Elsewhere, the faceless presence lingers at the edges of power. A meeting between rival crews takes place in an abandoned lot. The air is tense, weapons tucked at every waist, words sharp enough to cut. But before the first deal is sealed, every man falls silent. Across the street, under the broken glow of a streetlight, the shadow stands. Not close enough to intervene, not far enough to be ignored. Just standing, faceless, hood pulled low, a figure carved out of fear itself. The deal falls apart instantly. Nobody trusts anyone anymore, not when that thing is watching. Shots are never fired. The only thing that bleeds that night is trust. As days turn to nights and nights bleed into more storms, the legend grows. Chicago starts to treat the mystery like a ghost story told in real life. Mothers warn their sons not to stay out too late. Dealers trade fewer words. Bosses sit in silence longer before giving orders. No one says it out loud. But the truth is already clear. The city doesn't belong to Tommy, or the Serbs, or the feds. It belongs to the faceless stranger who hasn't spoken a single word, hasn't fired a single shot, but has already rewritten the rules. And then, for the first time, a direct sign appears. A single message slips into Tommy's world. Not through a phone call, not through a spy, but scrawled across a wall in blood red paint. You don't see me, but I see you. The words burn into his mind, louder than any threat he's ever faced. He stares at them for a long time, fists clenched, rage building. But deep inside, beneath all the fury, there's something else: uncertainty. The one thing Tommy never allows himself to feel. The streets are no longer Tommy's chessboard. The faceless figure has turned it into their own stage, and every player is now a puppet without realizing it. The real danger is not what this stranger will do next, but what they've already done. Make the city fear what it cannot see. And that fear is spreading, faster than bullets, deeper than blood, and stronger than Tommy's will to control it. The game has changed, and everyone knows it. Chicago no longer feels like the city it was. Every alley seems darker. Every window feels like an eye. Every deal tastes like poison. The faceless figure hasn't lifted a weapon, hasn't spoken a word, but their shadow is everywhere. It's in the silence before a phone rings. It's in the flicker of streetlights that burn out too quickly. It's in the breath of every man who wonders if tonight is the night he'll be the first to fall. Tommy stands at the heart of it all, restless, furious, unwilling to admit that fear has reached him. His empire is supposed to be untouchable, his grip on the streets unbreakable. Yet for the first time, he feels like the one being tested. The messages keep coming, not in words spoken, but in moments that no one can explain. A truck filled with money sits untouched at the docks, yet every man guarding it disappears without a trace. A safe house burns to the ground, yet no accelerant is found, no intruder caught on camera. It's as if the city itself has turned against him. Tommy doesn't believe in ghosts, but something about this feels worse than any living enemy he's ever faced. The faceless figure is not just haunting the streets, they are reshaping them. Crews that once killed for corners now retreat without a fight. Meetings collapse before they even begin. Rivals don't fear Tommy anymore. They fear the silence that comes before the shadow arrives. That silence spreads like a disease. It infects trust, breaks bonds, cracks alliances. Even Tommy's closest men hesitate, wondering if following him will only draw the stranger closer. Loyalty, once his sharpest weapon, begins to dull under the weight of unseen eyes. And then comes the night when the tension breaks. A storm rolls in, heavy and violent, thunder booming like gunfire across the skyline. Tommy gathers his men in a warehouse, determined to show control, determined to remind everyone that he runs this city. The room is thick with cigarette smoke and anger, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. He promises blood, promises war, promises that whoever this ghost is, they will bleed like anyone else. His men cheer, but the sound is hollow, like a drum with no skin. Because deep down, they don't believe it. Deep down, they know that power has already shifted. Suddenly, the lights cut out. Darkness swallows the warehouse. The cheering dies instantly. No one moves. The only sound is the storm outside, pounding against the metal roof. And then silence. Not just the silence of men holding their breath, but something heavier, colder, crushing the air from the room. Boots echo across the floor, slow, steady, measured. No one can see the figure, but everyone feels them. Tommy grips his gun, rage burning through him, refusing to show fear. His men point weapons into the dark, but their hands shake. The boots stop. For a long moment, nothing happens. The darkness itself feels alive, pressing against every chest, forcing every man to wonder if this is the last breath he'll take. Then, from the far side of the warehouse, a spark flares. A lighter flicks open, revealing only enough light to show a hand, gloved and steady. The flame hovers for a moment, then drops. It doesn't land on wood, or gasoline, or explosives. It lands on nothing at all, fading into the black floor. The point was never destruction. The point was presence, to show that the faceless figure can walk into Tommy's world, into his strongest fortress, and leave without taking a single thing except their pride. The lights return, flickering weakly. The figure is gone. No doors opened, no windows broken, just gone. Tommy's men stare at him, waiting for answers, but he has none. For the first time in his life, Tommy Egan is not in control. His fists clench, his jaw tightens, but there's no target to hit, no face to break, only silence, and that silence follows him long after the night ends. Every move he makes, he feels eyes watching. Every word he speaks, he hears an echo that isn't his own. The faceless figure doesn't need to reveal themselves to win. They've already won by making the entire city dance to their rhythm. Chicago belongs to the unseen now. The power belongs to the unknown. And in a city built on blood and betrayal, nothing is more dangerous than the player no one can see. The shadow whispers through the storm. You don't know me yet, but you will. The screen fades to black. A single line burns across the silence. Power Book 4, Force, Season 3. A new player enters the game.